So let's see, we've got some participants. We're recording. This is Office Hours with Arbitrage. I have hijacked them from Arbitrage. I've stolen his computer.
What are you doing on my computer, bro? Oh, there's people on. Hey, everybody.
We are together in person.
Surprise, we visited the Numerai HQ, and we're actually here with a couple of people. Are you folks okay saying hello?
Yeah.
I have Alice Aventurine. Hop in, man.
Aventurine.
Hello.
Say hi to the folks. And we also have Liz.
Hi.
Awesome. So they just moved into their office. It's still a little sparse. They're getting set up, but they wanted to kick off the reopening in San Francisco and get a lot of people to the office to visit. And I was honored to be able to come out. Wiggle Muse was here yesterday. Who else? Am I forgetting anybody that we saw?
Well, a lot of Numerai employees. Now the office is particularly sparse with Numerai employees because apparently they kept partying until 4:30 while the rest of us.
I was too tired. I had jet lag, so I went to bed. But I was a good boy. I knew how to stream today. We started a little late because we had to be let in. So
yeah, we beat all the Numerai people here.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to thank you all for hopping on today. I'm not on Twitch because I don't have any idea how to do that on my laptop, and I'm not going to try to test new things in production. It's a bad idea. But I am excited to talk about the Council of Elders and the stuff that we're working on. There were a lot of conversations yesterday about the Council of Elders and what we're doing, and I think it's time we gave the community an update. So we have GRB, Suraj. UUAZ joins us. Dr. Rudy Coons with us today. Thank you for joining us all. Jason couldn't make it. He had something come up. We'll catch him on the flip side. So thanks everybody else for hopping on. I don't really have an agenda per se. So why don't we have, I'm going to pick on somebody. Who am I picking on here? Oh, you. Because you're right here in front of me. What's going on, HB?
Yeah, I can give my perspective on what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of chatting in the Rocket Chat. I think we've had good conversations about what we want to do with Council of Elders. And there's been some conversations about projects that we wanted to fund. But I think there's been, based on some conversations with Richard, apparently he wants us to be more forthright with giving the money out to the community. Like I think that we spent a lot of time thinking about how we wanted to work on proposals, and we set up some good frameworks and came to some consensus about how we want to treat proposals. And now I think we can act a bit faster and with less reservations. It sounds like we have a mandate to kind of just do more things.
Richard said, move fast and break things. I think, at least for me personally, having a finance background, my dad's an accountant, I tend to get caught up in the details of how to avoid catastrophe. There isn't a catastrophe in this first round of numeraire disbursements. The amount that we could give out is not going to be dilutive enough to really cause a problem. And so I think that if we can move to a phase where, well, we need proposals to vote on. That's number one, is we need things to vote on. But number two, let's try to rapidly approve some things. So if you have an idea for a way to utilize Numeraire to build something, let us hear it. We want proposals. So another good piece of feedback we received was that the proposal write-up template's a little cumbersome. And I don't have a solution for that, but I'm certainly open to some new ideas.
Maybe, or how about I just give a summary of the stuff that we've done, and then maybe we go around and get perspectives from everybody else. So we allocated a bunch of the NMR that was in our treasury to the liquidity on Kashi for lending and borrowing. That's where most of the NMR went. But we can always withdraw if there's some other important proposal to fund. We reimbursed ourselves in JRB for creating the wallet. That allows us to organize as a council. Then we've accepted the proposal and paid for, well, we haven't paid him yet because he's writing the second article, but some tutorials on how to lend and borrow, which I think we can use as advertisements for Kashi in general, which I think will unlock a lot more liquidity than we can actually provide to Kashi. I think we can use that to bring in outside NMR from people that don't participate and just have the whales that are looking for a little bit of return. We drafted up fairly extensive little set of rules. We're still commenting on the details of those kinds of things, but just kind of general organizational ideas. And I think that's main. There was a good proposal that we started entertaining about marketplace for predictions. And then there's been some good stuff going on with signals that I'm not too looped in on signals. So I think JRB could probably explain what's going on there better than I can.
Speaking of JRB, why don't we go around and get like a quick little, here's what we're working on kind of deal for the council. JRB, are you ready to go?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, you sound great.
Okay, yeah, so I think I don't quite agree with the perspective you guys have about the council. I personally am quite dissatisfied with the pace at which things have progressed till date. I hope it gets faster because I think the only concrete thing we've done is allocate 200 NMR to Kashi.
Yep.
And besides that, we've been talking about a lot of things on Rocket Chat. We haven't really managed to do much. And I sincerely wish we move faster.
Me too.
I don't disagree with that.
Yep. And since most all of us are here, I see a lot of heads nodding yes in agreement. Jeremy, anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Hey, the mic and Rudy, how's it going?
I'm good. Yeah, I totally agree. I think we are moving a bit slow, but I think this is the first time that this council has been set up, right? So I think there were a lot of things that we as a council needed to figure out. And then if we do get replaced on the council, like how are people who come into the new council, how are they going to follow the rules that we've set out? So I do agree that we've been moving slightly slower than we probably wanted to, but I think it's a good framework to start from. And I think from here on in, I think we're going to have a lot of good things coming out and a lot quicker. So yeah, I totally agree that it has been slow, but yeah, we're getting to a point where I think we can start allocating a lot more, a lot quicker.
Yeah, Rudy, what do you think? How do we get the community to give us more proposals?
I don't know. I think, like you said, the proposal format might be a little bit cumbersome. I think if we could have shorter explanations of what people want, maybe we should start making more sort of like focused, like just surveys and things like that for what people want, and sort of like we might be able to come up with a priority list of what the community really wants.
Yeah.
So maybe in the forum we could start with a survey, just a couple of questions and things that we've been wanting for a long time, and then people can add their own, and then we can start voting on those. But yeah, I don't know how many people actually, compared to the Rocket Chat, how many people actually go to the forum.
Right.
What the user base is like in Rocket Chat versus forum, and yeah, a lot of people just don't read the forum. So yeah, we might have to promote that in some other way.
Mm-hmm. I like what HB did too with the request for proposal. Basically, we said, this is what we want. Now you bid on it. I like that a lot, and I think that could be a path to get some quick hits on high priority items to say, this is what we want. This is our spec. Can you do it?
Yeah, I think there have been a lot in the Rocket Chat in particular. There's a lot of good ideas often that say the council should do this, and this, but we aren't the ones that are going to be implementing any of this stuff. So it did seem like it sped things up for us to kind of organize those thoughts and those ideas that people are just throwing out on Rocket Chat into some concrete request that we can then pay somebody to do. Because yeah, our role isn't to implement things, even though that's kind of like when people write in Rocket Chat, like the CoE should do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not going to do that, but we do have the money to pay somebody else to do it. That's the whole point. So either people can frame their proposals as I will do this for this amount of money, or we can write those up as we will pay you this amount to do.
Yeah, I think I was the person who came up with the overly verbose format for proposals, and yeah, in hindsight, it could have been simpler. And I think what people in the community should do is, if you have a really good idea, just post it on the forum. and don't worry too much about the process. We'll hash it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely be helping people
Yeah.
throughout the process because we don't even know what a perfect proposal is.
Yeah.
And so
Good ideas are 10x more as important as the process.
Yeah. Hey, Suraj, thanks for joining us. You're on deck, sir.
Sorry.
You're on deck. What's up? How are you doing, Suraj? What you working on with the council?
Yeah. Good. I believe that we are moving slowly, but I guess JRB pointed out that if we show our readiness, that hey, we are reviewing these proposals and doing something working on it, then maybe the community will start proposing more proposals.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I guess we need to communicate more on more channels. Let's say we now have a Twitter handle, a forum, and maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point because we really don't have a public-facing communication channel that you don't have to sign into first. So that's actually a really good point, Suraj. That I didn't consider that. I guess we're sort of isolated in our little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Suraj. Thanks. Hey, Eza, thanks for joining us. I heard you're on vacation. You still the world traveler over there?
Actually, we are back from vacation since last week. So yeah, but I was traveling for 6 weeks. So yes, that's also maybe one of the reasons why I didn't do that much for the council. But well, now I'm here and back to work. Back home, I more or less agree what you discussed so far. I like the idea of giving out bounties, just saying we want this thing, just do it. We can also do it for some of the like for the open signals library, to say, okay, we want to have this feature. Just create a ticket on GitHub and then say, okay, if someone is implementing that and closes this ticket, we just pay you a few NMR and speed up the development process this way. I believe that could be nice.
Is that something that you and JRB could coordinate on? Because I don't profess to be a software engineer or coder in that regard, but that implementation sounds pretty appealing. If we had a repo and we wanted features, we could add the flag in GitHub, and if somebody completes it to the satisfaction of the maintainers, then we could definitely fund them out.
Yeah, the question is, we are the ones creating the tickets, or is it could it be the community that says, okay, I'm missing this feature, and then just create an issue, and then we could say, by the way, we give out a bounty for someone to fix it or to implement it.
I like that. What were you going to say, Jeremy?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think it probably makes sense for us to track these things on a GitHub repository. It's a much nicer workflow, and I think it's a lot more open as opposed to voting on the forum, which is in some ways open because I think you can access the forum without logging in. I haven't checked.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can, yes.
Yeah. But I guess GitHub would be a better option, especially in terms of the workflow.
Right.
So we could work on that. Yeah, I'll talk to.
For stuff that exists in code, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but on GitHub. Cool. Any what else Eza?
What else? Not that much yet. Yesterday, I actually created a new GitHub repo. Maybe we can move it to the Council of Elders. It's called Awesome Numerai. Maybe you know these awesome lists on GitHub that people have created lists of stuff. Maybe it's software libraries, maybe articles and stuff. And my idea was we create one for the competition and just collect the links to resources that we think are useful, and maybe the articles we paid for or stuff, whatever we find, what we think is useful. So I started that. I can move that over to the council.
Cool.
Well, it's just very rudimentary right now, but if I get the time, I'll expand it a bit more.
Well, it's a lot better than the one I made, so.
You have one as well? Maybe I can.
Oh, that's the point. That's the point.
Okay.
Terrible. I look red. Am I red? What the heck's going on? We're trying to get light. There's not enough light. We can't get enough light. It's like, we are the council. Sorry, we're just having fun over here. You know, we can't help it. We can't help it. That's great. Hey, Liz, since you're literally right next to me, do you have some? This is awesome seeing you on Zoom too. Just don't turn on your microphone, please. Can you give us some feedback of some of the conversations that we were having last night, and maybe fill in for the folks? Why don't you just come over here? I'm gonna share some space here.
Which conversation?
I don't know. Well, we were a lot of chat going on yesterday in the office. So I just wanted to see, was there anything big picture stuff that we might have missed?
Well, I don't know like what I can say from the party, but like
Council stuff.
Council stuff, yeah.
Council stuff.
I think like one thing like someone already mentioned like easier proposals. I know I've not done proposals because I felt like, oh, there's this huge list and it's a lot of energy to put into it. And I've also like, this is just like a personal problem, I think, but like, I felt like the bounties are kind of low for like, I wouldn't want to work for 25 an hour for anything on this, you know, that's too low for me. And like, now that like JRB is saying like, you know, just like put an idea out there on the forum, I like that. I've been thinking about making a real simple proposal like, hey, I'm doing this open development for signals on Twitch. I'm already like open sourcing the libraries, like, please throw me some money. That'd be great.
Pay for content.
Yeah, exactly. And I would really like to see the council putting bounties out there too. I think that's something I've been hoping to see the whole time. It's like the council being like, well, we want somebody to do this, so we'll put this price on it.
Well, what do you think about the RFP, the request for proposal, which is what HP started out with, saying, okay, this is the thing we want, and then you tell us how much we have to pay you to do it? Yeah, similar to what you're talking about for a bounty?
Yeah, I think so. Like, what I mean is like some creative direction from the council, I think, and an RFP is a great way to do that. But I think also it could just be like the GitHub thing, you know, you're like, well, we need this library integrated into that thing and we'll give you 3 NMR for it or whatever. Or, you know, maybe more, you're like, oh, this has been on the back burner for a month, let's double it. But like,
that's interesting. Yeah.
So
like if it doesn't get built,
like an auction,
just
run
it up. Yeah. The problem is then everybody waits.
Yeah,
potentially.
But maybe
it's game theory. Somebody's gonna
HP's dropping game theory.
Yeah. Kind of my initial impression of the council has been like that people are expected to bring ideas to y'all and then y'all vote on it. But like, since like it's kind of not moving, I've been wanting to see y'all be like, we want this, bring us this. We have a lot of money to give for this kind of thing.
We want all the things.
Yeah.
All of them, please.
So I will say that one barrier in my mind previously was we didn't really have a way. We, in our wallet as a council, have the ability to send money, to send transactions, but we didn't have a way to like allocate funds, pre-allocate funds for a certain project and set it aside. And then when that thing is done, unlock it and send it. And so I was concerned about that, like the trust between the council and somebody working on something that we're actually going to pay them when they're done, or just like how the funds get moved. And we basically got told to prepay, just to make the funds available and pay up front and be less concerned about things not being delivered or things failing. Like, and it's not the model that I typically think of when I think of like funding for a proposal coming from my brain of like government money. Like you need to deliver before you get paid. But Richard was thinking more along like VC lines.
I'm gonna get Alex in here, hold on.
All right, we're gonna try cram everybody in.
And then you sit there.
You could move the laptop.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find some team members.
But apparently Richard was thinking more along the lines of a VC where you shouldn't be afraid to fail, allocate money to a team that you at least have some confidence in and try to get something out of it. And if you don't, you don't. And apparently Richard is fine with us spending the money and failing and then giving more to try the next thing. Like that's apparently we have a mandate to try and fail more.
Okay. Yeah. That's I think that's awesome. Y'all should do it. I think you should. This is something like just another thought I had based on what Richard was saying, and like when the council was forming, it's like you should spend all that money right now. Like
Richard
he's
said,
going to give you more.
Richard
like,
said, like, make it rain.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to see NMR flying everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the drinking. Maybe a little bit had something to do with that, but he literally said, make it rain. The other thing that was kind of brought up that you guys haven't talked about yet had to do a little bit with having, you know, there's a little bit of pushback that I saw in the forums about, you know, having a president per se of the council, which I can kind of see both sides of that, but to at least have some sort of like facilitator, somebody that's like a single entity that would be almost like a facilitator to kind of keep the flow moving, could be a good idea. That was something that Richard and I talked about a little bit. So that's just another idea to throw out there.
Yeah.
So I found a couple of people. That's what I went hunting for. So we're gonna try to get everybody.
I don't know how long has it been since the last time we met on Zoom?
And Anson's here too.
I mean, most of the council. Hey.
What was
Wow,
that?
we're having our picture taken home.
Yeah. When was the last time that we met on Zoom?
What's that?
Does anybody remember? When was the last time that the council met on Zoom?
About a month ago.
First time.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we need to have a regular schedule for these meetings
Yep, I think we want to do it once a month.
and stick to it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right, is that what we talked about? About once a month?
I think that's really good to like play along with the meme of like building in public, but just have a regular interface both with the community and with like teams ideas and stuff. Anyway.
Thanks for joining us, AJ.
Hello.
Bye, NJ.
Bye. This is a show of my paranoid.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Is that pizza slime?
No.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry, I just wanted to get some people in while I heard footsteps in the outside here. I wanted to have some people come say hello. Didn't mean to interrupt the flow, so please.
Alex was mentioning having somebody as a leader to facilitate work.
That definitely was talked about a lot.
Facilitator, not leader.
A facilitator. Well, what's the difference?
One sounds a little different.
Oh, well, it's a marketing.
Well,
it's
you know,
marketing.
yeah, it's more of a marketing thing. Like people kind of had a lot of pushback on like a president per
That's
se. But Richard could say that it might make the flow a little bit better to at least have like a person that's kind of designated as like a facilitator to kind of keep flow moving around.
It's called a Secretary General.
Yeah, something like that. Not somebody that's going to tell everybody else what to do, but just to facilitate things.
Honeycomb had a good question for RFPs. How would you prevent multiple people unnecessarily competitively working on the same thing? Well, if you signal that you're going to do a thing, I think that'd probably lock it in for you. Like, I'm going to work on this. And then that's it. Like, we'll tell people, don't work on this because somebody else is already doing it. A facilitator, to your point, Alex, would help with that a lot, I think.
Well, like HB was saying too, like if you just pay them up front, then there's no confusion about who's doing the job.
Also that.
Yeah. So
For things that we handle with GitHub, I mean, there's the option that you can assign someone to it. And then if someone is assigned, well, that's the one doing it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. Did we have the Slido open?
No.
We did, but I went full screen. Okay, so we have some Slido questions. I'm gonna leave that. So Anonymous wants to know, how long is the tenure of the current council and will they get compensation? So we've talked about this quite a bit. Right now, there's not a compensation structure. As for how long do we serve, we also haven't really established that. To my knowledge, I don't think we've come up with any term limits or anything. It was mentioned before. What's the community's suggestion for that? It's probably not really up to us. It's up to you all, how long you want us to serve, and especially if a removal system probably should exist too, in case there's dispute as to the actions of one of the elders. How about you, Jeremy? What do you think?
I think there should be term limits, and I think there should be no compensation, but I know a lot of people disagree with me. And if there is going to be a president, a facilitator, or a secretary general, they certainly should have term limits.
Certainly, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, you don't want a lame duck either, right? Who knows they're on their way out, potentially just stops working.
Right.
Could be a problem. Suraj, I'm not sure I get the
proposal for term limits.
Oh,
So like, yeah, proposal for the solution, but we'll figure it out.
I think it's a good idea, but it could get like bogged down. Like things are going slow with the proposal stuff now. It might be better to just get something down. If there's proposals for something better, then go for that. But I think the tenor of the discussion, like as the council was forming, was around like a year term limits. I thought that was kind of short, but like I think that makes sense, and it seemed to be what I thought the community was talking about a lot of the time. Although it would be interesting to have like staggered terms as well, so there's not just like an entire turnover.
So there's not too much churn.
Yeah,
In crypto, a year is almost a lifetime.
I know.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's what part of the nuance of this whole thing is that we're a quasi crypto, quasi stock market entity, but we have a month-long resolution, right? And so while things move fast, it's actually quite slow. And so I don't have an opinion as to what the tenure should be, because I think we kind of need to do it for a while and have some attrition, and that might help define how long the tenure is, right? Because if people start dropping off after 6 months, maybe that's what the tenure is. If it's 18 months, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, and I hate to arbitrarily define a time frame that, just because people think about it. But Deckerhan had the next question. Has the Council of Elders achieved a state of shared vision, not a vision statement? If not, do you know how you will get there? So Deckerhan, maybe you can help me understand what you mean a little bit better. So like when you say, do we have a shared vision, like do we have consensus? Is that what you mean? Like it's to the council itself?
So, I mean, if you've been on a team with a shared vision, you know how everything flows, that you don't have to tell each other what people should work on, and what everything works on kind of comes together and clicks without central coordination. And I think this type of organization, it's important to spend the time to get to that state. And I'm not talking about mission statements and purpose statements and fancy stuff. If you have to write a vision statement, you are not in a state of shared vision. So I'm just wondering if you guys, through this time, have got into that state.
Nope.
And I was gonna say, I asked, I'm curious, but now it seems you're still working on it.
I'd say that there's a sense of we all really want to work on this. We all really want it to succeed. And I think there's a genuine desire to see things move forward. Personally, I'm terrified that we'll screw something up and make the community really upset. And so perhaps that's my hang up as to perhaps why I'm not moving fast and breaking things. But after getting a little politely lit up by Richard in person about let's move, it's time to get going, I think that we can probably start breaking things finally. And so now that's why I'm like, come on, give us proposals, let's get to work here and get it done. But to your point there, and no, we're not there yet, but I think as we start to see successes, it'll snowball into a much bigger, more conducive environment for that. That's a great question, and I'm definitely going to reflect on that one. That was really good. So Anonymous has a question. How is success for the Council of Elders being measured? I don't know. Richard would say we're probably failing because we haven't spent any of the Numerai yet. If it's just in the expenses, then we are failing. If it's moving the ball forward at a slow pace, we're doing a really good job. So we don't have quantifiable measures or even a qualitative measure of success yet. I think that's going to evolve over time. And unfortunately, since it's an anonymous, I'm not sure who posed the question. We can certainly talk about it if you like.
I didn't pose this question.
Okay.
I think the success of the community, the Council of Elders should be measured in terms of the community goodwill. The community voted us in.
Yep.
And the question is, would the community want us to stay on the council? Or would it want to disband the entire council? I think there should be some provision for the community to disband the entire council if needed.
That's interesting, but if we took politicians' like approval rating, then we wouldn't ever have any politicians because none of them have an approval rating greater than 50%. So that sounds a little bit risky. Because if we take just it's like an opinion poll, do you like how this person is doing? Well, you're going to predominantly get negative answers. That's just how it goes. That's at least what I've noticed in that kind of stuff. But definitely we need some mechanism for removal of somebody being a, you know what.
The threshold for failure can be significantly lower than 50%.
This is definitely true. Honeycomb has a question. Does now this is a self-serve question, I think.
Oh, wait, I had a comment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, you know, you can have multiple measures of success if you want to do community, goodwill, et cetera. That's good, but I think like an expectation that Richard has set publicly is like spend all this and then I'll give you a bunch more. So that should be a metric, I think, is how much you spend. I don't, is that tracked anywhere? That easily seen any place? Like, can someone go and say like, oh, they spend this percent of their whatever you're calling it, purse, treasury?
Yeah, the treasury is a wallet that everybody can look at and see what assets are still in there. We can regularly direct people to it. Yeah, it's 200 of the NMR is now in Kashi KM USDC NMR-link, and then some of the ETH has gone to reimburse us for transactions, and that's where it's gone so far.
Yeah, so we had that open. Was that your?
Yeah, I think it should be an official metric is how much you spend.
Yeah.
It's pretty straight up and easy to do, so why not?
Yeah, this is something that I was talking about last night as well, and I think it came up in Rocket Chat, but you know, all this stuff starts to blend together, so I apologize, I don't remember the source, but Honeycomb's asking a question. Does the Council of Elders think that the Marketplace project can go ahead? Does the Council of Elders prefer hour-based fees versus the arbitrary feature-based fees? And I said in Rocket Chat that I prefer to look at things in a USD per hour equivalent basis, because it kind of normalizes all the effort. So, you know, I don't care how big the project is or how small, I take that out of the consideration. I just look at the hourly compensation. And I said, if somebody bids too low, we can help them and say, you're bidding too low. You really should be around this range because that's the average. Or this is a really complex project, so I understand why you're asking for more. It takes a specialized skill set to do it. But instead of just a raw numeraire number, I prefer to see it in USD per hour equivalent. Now, of course, we can convert that too, but I prefer that the person that's writing a proposal lay that out up front, because that's like the first offer, if you will, and then we can take it from there. That's my opinion. And as for the Marketplace proposal, yeah, I'd like to see that go forward. I think it's a great idea. And it can be fixed and modified and changed over time. It's a great framework to start with. So, you know, as for me, I'd like to see it go through, but I'm one of many.
Well, I'll second that. I also really like the idea. And my main concern previously was how do we allocate, how do we smartly give out the funds in a way that facilitates like the person be compensated as they go, but then make sure they deliver. And apparently I was worried about that too much. So
yeah,
we can.
Remember also, like with these proposals, there's reputational risk for the person who's making the proposal. And so, you know, Honeycomb is now the one identified as the genesis of this idea. So if they don't deliver, it's reputational risk on that. You know, if they come back to the trough, so to speak, and they didn't deliver on the first one they proposed, why would we give them the second? And so there is a bit of a mechanism there for punishment, if you will, not necessarily punishment, but the lack of ability to go back. And so, yeah, you know, if we fund some stuff that just don't pan out, I think that's okay. We don't want to fund something that's massive, because that has a dilutatory effect. And I'm pretty sure in terms of my personal goal of achieving the top 100 market cap, that would not help. So there is some balance there, but you know, we're definitely getting there. But Honeycomb, definitely, let's try to move that forward next week. even, I don't know, maybe even this week. Just get some traction on it and see if we can't get that going for you.
Do any of the others have feedback on the marketplace in general, discussion about that? Because I think it's a cool proposal.
I believe it's a cool proposal. The question is, I have to look at it again, but is there a way to break it down a bit and break it into chunks that we can say, okay, build the first chunk, then we're paying you something, and if it looks good,
I agree.
do the rest.
Yeah, there were chunks in the proposal. So
okay.
If we just go by those guidelines, I think that's probably would satisfy what you're saying.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeremy?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say build it in the open and just go chunk by chunk, and we can approve the funds as the project progresses along.
Yeah.
And I'm down for paying for the first chunk in advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine,
Yeah. Like I said, the reputational risk is there, and I think that's a protective measure for all involved.
Yeah, looks like we have consensus on that now.
Indeed, probably.
That's where he's going to disagree right now.
So
Guys,
if we break it up into chunks and things, then we might get more people involved too, and not just one single person.
Right.
Which is a big burden on one single person, I think. So if you have, breaking it up into chunks, this person can do the front end, this person does the back end.
Right.
It's going to be a community project, which will be great.
Good idea.
Does anyone have a coconut allergy?
We're being handed cookies.
Guys, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Deborah.
All right. So something that's been on my mind about the CoE. I think you're going towards an identity for CoE of an organization that is the gatekeeper for a scarce amount of resources, right?
Yeah.
So there's a treasury and you decide how to use treasury. I think there are a couple disadvantages to that. One of them is, well, when you're in a scarcity mode, by default, that defines what you can do. You can only do a certain number of things. Whereas an abundance model would allow us to do a lot more. The second one is, I think it might, just because you can't pay unlimited money to important things, it's got to trivialize some of the efforts. I'm just thinking in terms of like a community project. Yes, it's Wolfgang who's done it, but it's like the Numerai API. I think such a valuable part of getting started with Numerai, that its existence is not a few hundred or few $1,000s worth of thing. It's really critical and important. And if there was a project of that nature that you put out and say, well, that's $1,000 project, I think that devalues the contribution of that. And the third one, I think the Council of Elders are the people who are the most passionate about moving Numerai forward, right? And the way it's being structured now, you're putting yourself in a position of, okay, people, show your passion, let's figure out what we're gonna do. Whereas what I would expect is that here's what I'm gonna do as a Council of Elder or an elder. This is my passion, I'm gonna work on it. And if anybody is interested, follow me. So more of a leadership model rather than a show me what you got and I'll pay you model. I think that scales better. I think that scales better. It creates an abundance situation. And I think paying for things, it just limits what you can do. Whereas saying, just do what you can. And if there are expenses, we'll cover it. So hosting expense, sure, we'll cover it. But like so many dollars per hour, you're rewarding efforts, but not the contribution necessarily. So I'm thinking, while you're thinking about the identity, gatekeeper may not be the best identity you want for the CoE.
No, that's a really good take. I didn't consider it that way, but the optics are exactly what you described. So thank you, that's great.
I think I largely agree with everything Dagahan said, except for the framing of the council as gatekeepers. I would like to believe that the council is predominantly working on the problem of resource allocation. So we have a certain amount of resources, and we want to optimally allocate it to ensure the best outcomes. And yeah, that's all there is to it. But the problems that you state are very real, and we should bear them in mind.
Liz looks like you would say something. Yes.
I agree with JRB, but I think it might be wise to center like.
It's hard to get out of it. Go ahead.
It might be wise to remember that like optimizing in this case doesn't mean growing your bankroll necessarily.
Indeed, yeah. This is something we've discussed in private. Yeah.
I see the council acting kind of in a way that seems like trying to optimize return on investment and not go broke when you should be trying to go broke.
Absolutely, yeah. We're not a rent-seeking community, right? We are trying to maximize the outcomes for the entire community, and we're not trying to increase the bankroll that we have. I mean, if that were the case, we would have put everything we have onto some lending platform and just earned interest.
Yeah, and I see it as a balance between there was some risk that I thought at the beginning, if we drained the funds instantly on something that sucked and no one appreciated, then I was concerned about the long-term viability of the council. But it sounds like we should be less worried about that. And
on the other hand, I also want to increase the stake we have on Kashi. We've discussed this.
That'd be good to talk about. I think that we want a healthy lending and borrowing environment for NMR.
Right.
And so I don't want to necessarily flood that with our NMR as opposed to organic NMR. And so I'd actually like to move at a reasonable pace, keep adding more liquidity, but be sure we don't artificially hold down the APR so that nobody else will lend.
I think it's too premature to worry about the APR because at the moment, it's more profitable for anyone holding NMR to stake on example model instead of lending on Kashi. And if you look at the numbers, I haven't seen it in the past couple of days. It's fairly indicative that people are making the rational choice of not lending out on Kashi.
Yeah.
And
not that many people are making the rational choice to stake on example predictions. I guess the barrier of just understanding how it works in the tournament is enough to prevent people.
I have really checked what's the amount staked on example predictions lately, but it wasn't much a couple of months ago.
Surprisingly little. So maybe there's a larger community of folks that are in DeFi that understand how to lend and borrow that don't understand how to just contribute to the tournament. And so there might be a decent amount of NMR that would unlock if more people knew about it, which is why I was focusing on advertising and getting tutorials and whatnot going. But I think we should add more.
Yeah, I guess the tutorials would really help with that.
We got Michael Oliver in the house. You guys. Say hello to the folks.
How's it going, guys? Good to see all of you.
That was a big ask. I think that's all he's got for today.
What's up with advertising? Are you guys going to do that?
I think we should. I like what I've seen so far with the tutorial and the article that's been written, and I think maybe bounties for posting things on Twitter, bounties for small, tiny bounties for retweeting things and spreading things, I think would be cool.
What about that 1729.com?
Yeah, I didn't look as deeply into that one, but we should check out that proposal again. That was for, do you want to explain quickly what that was?
So it was submit a model of predictions for a round, and the top 10 would get some amount of cryptocurrencies like BTC or NMR, maybe NMR, yes.
It's kind of like a leaderboard bonus for new users.
Yeah, kind of that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, the 1729.com seems like they have an audience fairly technical. So their audience might take up and join the tournament. But there were some arguments that more users are hurting. So I don't know if that's the best case.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have consensus on whether or not a goal of the council should be to expand the user base. I don't think we ever really decided on how the community feels about making the community as big as possible or not. You have thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a valuable thing in itself. Like, I mean, it'd be good to expand like skilled data scientists participating, but I think just having a huge community, like, actually in some ways hurts us. And
getting the right people.
Yeah, we just want to do the Numerai thing better and better. We don't necessarily want 100,000 people.
Well, assuming the number of skilled data scientists within the set of data scientists is normally distributed, a bigger community will naturally imply a bigger set of skilled data scientists, right?
Yeah,
I guess so.
That's probably as big as we can make it.
Your arm's gonna shut now.
Well, Richard's in the house.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard.
What's up?
Thanks for having us out. Great to see the new digs.
It's good to be here. I heard you guys have been talking about taking action.
Some stuff, yes, based on what you were talking with us last night.
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna spend the money.
Move fast and break things within reason, right?
But I don't know what's the first idea? Like what could we do with $100,000? Like what would we do?
Well, I was saying when we started, we'd love to see more proposals. So one of the things is cleaning up the proposal process so it's a little quicker for folks to get ideas in, and then we can facilitate the flow of moving from an idea to a product or a thing or whatever it is. Yeah.
We got live consensus on moving forward on a marketplace, which isn't a $100,000 project, but I don't think anybody has been thinking at that scale.
Right.
So putting it out there, apparently that's the scale you're thinking it.
You know what? Maybe money is not important. That's also the other thing. It's like, it turns out, some of the best projects are done by people who just like have the idea and put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, like the payouts app is a great example of that. And so is AI Joe's dashboard.
Yeah.
A lot of us use that.
If we paid the payout app guy money, would that make it better? Maybe not.
I don't know. That's a fair question for sure.
Motivate retention for him specifically.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe Numerai shouldn't have any payouts at all.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Richard, I'm going to disagree with you there.
Okay, at that point, payments do work for that.
I would stream development of Numerai openly for 100,000 a year. I would do it full time.
Yeah.
For streaming, which is 20 hours a week, not 40.
Correct, because there's a lot of prep.
You drive a hard bargain.
No, there is. It's like I was telling people.
It's exhausting.
For an hour of streaming is 3 hours of prep.
4 hours, like when I did that 4 hour, my most recent one, I was like delirious at the end of it. I was taking breaks too throughout. I was like, we're going to do a 5-minute break with something else.
Have you seen George Hux's coding?
No.
Live stream. He just does it for I think he's done it for 24 hours.
Wow.
Making a self-driving car.
Oh.
Wow. Richard, any big picture thoughts or motivations or criticisms you'd like to deliver to the folks while we're all here?
No, I think it's a very cool, it's going really well as an experiment so far. But yeah, there's a question of how to spend the money. And I was telling you guys last night, if the worst thing that can happen if you're a venture capitalist and you fund a company is that the entrepreneur doesn't spend the money and holds cash, because there's no way to have a return on investment if there's no spending of the money.
This is true.
And so the VC is always trying to give you 18 months of runway or 12 months of runway. So it's like a stress. So it's like you have to spend it quickly. Otherwise they won't do the B round or whatever. And I think there's something to that.
So maybe there should be almost like time limit on the capital. It's like either it'll be spent or there won't be a new amount given or something.
Yeah, no, I don't see a problem with that. Definitely motivate some folks. If we have the proposals, and so I come back to it, please help us come up with some proposals. If you have an idea, like Honeycomb reached out to me in direct messages and say, hey, I have this idea, not quite sure how to flesh it out. And so I spent some time back and forth and we worked on that proposal together and I helped them submit it and now it looks like that's going to happen. And I don't want to speak for myself, but I imagine most of the council would also be willing to help somebody. If there's a particular member of the council that you trust and want to work with, reach out to us and see if we can help you.
Even if you're not the one planning to implement it.
That's right.
Like you guys can, I mean, so give us ideas for bounties and then we submit, and then there'd be even another third party that implements it.
Yeah, like so if you have a coding idea and you're not a strong coder, we can still put a request for proposal out, such as what HP is working on, and we can make that happen. So yeah, don't let your own technical knowledge be a hindrance. We can overcome that.
Creativity seems like the biggest hurdle.
Yeah, which is true. A lot of the time, actually, when we did Erasure grants back in the day, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was like the ideas we got pitched were so bad. That was the problem. It wasn't that we weren't like willing to give them capital. It's just like, that's just our idea. Like some guy had an idea that was just like Numerai, but just for stocks in Kenya. And we were just like, well, we already have, like, Kenya doesn't really have a market.
Yeah.
But even if it did, we would trade that market and be the normal Numerai. Did you guys talk about who should be like, did you talk about leadership? Should there be
facilitator, yes.
Yeah, should there be someone who's like the producer of?
I'm in favor of that. I have been from the beginning, but I think we'll have to have some conversations among the council and figure out how we may move that forward.
I think that's quite good.
Yeah, no, I think it would make sense. We talked about it some, but I don't want to give too much away because we still need to talk internally about it before we really flesh it out, if you will. Anything else? Any questions in Zoom? We got through the Slido.
Has no one asked when scores yet?
Yeah,
no, somebody did. I gave a time though already.
Oh, really?
Did you just hear that? That was Noah's PagerDuty alarm. Some system failing.
Oh, I should say, since now that I've been here, I did not find the hamster cage. So I'm still trying to find the small little hamsters that do the daily scores. But so far, it looks like it's actually an intern that cranks the wheel.
Somebody said scores too bad that they don't want them today.
Can't help you there. But yeah, so.
We didn't see any abacuses. There's no abacuses here.
Yeah, I think
if there aren't enough like ideas coming in, proposals, is the council going to like generate ideas?
Maybe. I have ideas. I'm just kind of like waiting to see what happens because I think internally, if a council member proposes an idea and then does the work, I think that's kind of ugly. But maybe I need to get over that. But like I said,
Richard wants to.
Is anyone good at Google?
Might as well do it, right?
Is anyone good at Google AdWords?
That's a great
Spend
question.
$50,000 on Google AdWords. See if we get some cool new users.
That's actually not bad.
You want new users?
Sorry?
Are good users, are more users good?
So that's a good question.
Yeah, probably
Is that
not
even a question?
Google Ads.
So you got an answer.
Like being a presence on
Well,
the
maybe you
street.
could like draw attention to
But maybe that should
copy
be-
that way.
But you know what, maybe that could be an after the marketplace thing too.
Yeah.
Because once you got the marketplace going, then you can have more people that might not have the background to
Do
participate,
A/B
to have a
testing
space.
on ads. with
That's
those
true.
things.
Yeah.
Best effect.
That's true.
They could just be ads that link to like their Coinbase NMR page.
Be like, check out this guy arbitrage's model, you could stake on him.
Yeah, or like data scientists don't want you to know this one simple trick.
Yeah.
The next Bill Gates.
You could just make
Look at all the medals, look at all the medals he has.
Yeah. Yeah, too bad I can't sell the medals. Gotta work on that. Yeah, so I don't see any Zoom questions, and I know we got through the Slido, so I'll just give one last call if anybody has any questions or comments before we wrap. All right, seeing none. Richard, thanks so much for having us out. Do you want to close this?
One question. Who on Signals, is there anyone here who uses Signals that isn't just using price data? You are.
I have fundamental data.
Okay. Okay.
I have both. I have some that are price only and some that are fundamental.
Because we've seen quite a lot of, we did some analysis and it looks like quite a lot of short-term momentum stuff, which is kind of what the example pareds are. Example script for signals. But yeah, there's a lot of other data out there.
Still waiting for a global, widely covered fundamental data source. And I will share that referral code on all of my social media channels. And so whoever finds this purported data source is probably going to have it free for a long time because we're all going to buy it. So I'm still waiting on somebody to find that for us so we can share it, because if you're using just price data, I think you're missing the majority of the story. So yeah. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. This was a special in-person live from San Francisco office hours. I hope to do this again sometime real soon, right, Richard?
Yep.
And so thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you on Rocket Chat. Bye.
Big things coming in the next fireside too.
Yeah, can't wait to see that. Ooh. Okay. Now I can't find it. There it is.